I'm here talking to the FirstWatch group today about the concept of what we call the Virtual Ems Supervisor. You know, with the budget times the way they are, there's a lot of times not a lot of administrative staff to kind of oversee how the mechanics of an EMS system is working. So what we've done is we've kind of bundled a group of triggers together to form what we call the Virtual Ems Supervisor. What that does is it keys in or pages or sends notification when certain sentinel events have happened in the system. For example, one of the things that we have a trigger on is something called what I call the EMS rekindle or an EMS recall, where an EMS unit returns to the scene of an original address within 24 hours of its initial dispatch. So those are typically something that probably needs to be looked at by management to see if there was a misdiagnosis or a missed event or missed opportunity to take a patient to the hospital, or if there's some other problem that's developed within the care of the patient. So that actually is one of the triggers that we look at. Another one that's a high-risk, low-frequency event that happens in the system, which should be a sentinel event too, is that when a helicopter response is occurring within the jurisdiction. And a lot of times we look at that and try to go back and look at appropriateness of the helicopter dispatch. So anytime that a helicopter is dispatched into our jurisdiction, we've got a FirstWatch page on it, so that we can go back and look and say, follow up with the patient from a quality improvement standpoint. And one of the things we found was what some of the national statistics are showing is that a lot of the patients that we were sending out by helicopter were discharged the same day. So we went back and tweaked our utilization a little bit, and now we monitor that very closely and give that feedback back to the crews. Another event that happens pretty routinely is the dispatch of more than 2 ambulances to the same location. And while there might be one dispatched initially, which doesn't put it up on the radar screen for management to see, and then the crew gets there and requests a second ambulance or potentially a third ambulance or higher, then a lot of times the dispatch center doesn't make notifications on that because it initially came out as a one vehicle response or a typical EMS response. So as that thing cascades and starts to require more resources, that triggers a FirstWatch trigger that ultimately sends the page to an EMS supervisor. So we have several other things that we've tied into that. Certainly our performance measures we look at. One of the things that's a big problem in Las Vegas right now and many of the cities in the Southwest United States is drowning. So we also have a FirstWatch trigger for drowning, and any time that there's a drowning anywhere in the Las Vegas Valley, the people that are on the drowning task force immediately, and most of the EMS chiefs all get a page saying where that drowning occurred, what the particulars about it, is there CPR in progress, all the dispatch notes. So that's more of a situational awareness piece, but it's certainly, Las Vegas has put a tremendous amount of resources into drowning prevention. Through our PIOs and our public education process, and certainly it's one of those events that stresses the crews. So an EMS field supervisor would want to know about where those are at. But just to kind of stay on top of what the problem is and the fact that the problem continues to manifest itself in our jurisdictions, we want to know where those calls are. And then one of the other great tools that we have that pretty much all the agencies in the Las Vegas area have is what we call the 5th engine response. And from a situational awareness standpoint, a lot of times there's something going on the other end of the valley which requires a second alarm assignment. So anytime that a 5th fire engine or specialty unit like a heavy rescue or hazmat unit gets added to a response, a page or a trigger gets sent through the FirstWatch system. And what that does is it kind of allows all the battalion chiefs and all the chief officers to know that over in our neighbor's jurisdiction that we have a working incident that may be drawing down on the resources in that part of the valley. So it also could prompt move-ups. So those are all automated functions, or again, just realizing that something else is going on in the system that may get bigger very quickly. And again, do we need to shift resources or kind of be aware that that's going to draw down on the system?